My name's Jacqueline de Rojas, and I'm the president of Tech UK. I am delighted to be at the Reboot Work Festival, and we are definitely going to go through a celebration of automation featuring our breakthroughs and innovations at Costain. Today, I'm going to be joined by Stephen Still. Stephen has been at Costain for some time. He is someone who recognises the changing face of finance, the rise of technology dependency in our everyday lives, and of course Costain's own need to be what we call digital by default. Stephen has been leading a number of digitisation projects at Costain within their newly created Automation Centre of Excellence, all in the field of robotic process automation, purchase to pay, order to cash, natural language generation, and ERP transformation. Stephen, welcome to the Reboot Work Festival. I'm looking forward to a great conversation here today.
Thank you ever so much for that lovely introduction, Jacqueline. I am delighted to be here and delighted to share our story with you. And I hope together we'll share something of interest to everyone who's attending the festival today.
Brilliant, thank you. I have to say that this is a really interesting story because I recall taking a trip to Bucharest to the UiPath Innovation Lab actually, and it was there that I first saw the possibility and opportunity that robots, RPA, can offer. And the first question they asked me when I was there was, Jacqueline, if we gave you a robot, what would you have it do? And I thought, oh my God, I don't know, shopping, scheduling. Actually quite difficult to crystallize that. And then the next question was, well, what if we had some software that we could run across the business and it could show you where, for example, all the duplication, the repetition was, and that would actually prioritize where you'd put a robot. And I thought, God, my mind is absolutely blown. So that was, the start of my inspirational journey for robotics and process automation. And certainly having gone on that trip with the Costain team, it's been a joy to see what you've done with it. So I'm curious as to, now we know what sparked that interest. And we see lots of technology all the time. What do you think really lit that flame for you at Costain? And what was it that was different this time in why automation would matter and make the difference?
Thank you. Yeah, this started slightly differently for me. I've been a finance professional for a long time now, longer than I care to mention, to be honest. And it started for me with a desire to elevate our finance professionals beyond the day-to-day mundane work that they have to carry out. I've done it for a long time myself, and I know what's involved, and I understand the struggle that's involved in running a busy finance department, which kind of revolves around month end and then a pause for reflection, which we never really seem to get, and then it's month end again. So we were talking about how we could elevate our finance professionals within the business to add more value. And that would be a brilliant thing if we could do that. And we were kind of kicking ideas around. And then off the back of the Romania visit and the immersion lab with UiPath, the kind of idea of, well, what if we could do robotic process automation at Costain and use that as the catalyst to elevate our finance people, take that mundane away from them and give them back time that they can use working on the business, instead of just in the business. It was such an exciting space to be in as we kind of delved into it and started to understand what might be possible. So Jacqueline, you had the question of what would you do if we gave you a robot? I was asked the same question, and the opportunities were endless. And we see tech all the time, you're quite correct, but something just piqued my interest with this and the possibilities that might afford us. It was just such an exciting space to be in, a space that has real momentum, and that momentum is only growing. There are passionate people working in this space. And I think what it's done for us at Costain is it's afforded us a chance to make a real difference.
Yeah, and that's so interesting, isn't it? I'm listening to you thinking, wow, it's so exciting to have someone who's not in tech be excited and inspired about the possibilities that tech can deliver. I mean, that is such a joy, because essentially we're so dependent on technology now that it's in everyone's domain, isn't it? That's been a real shift too. So then, Stephen, now that we've got you in the tech world and you're inspired by automation and what it can offer in terms of setting your people free, actually, I suppose, and adding more value to the business, what was the prize? I mean, have you got metrics? And I suppose a follow-up, what stuff have you automated and what cool stuff have you found that you can automate or create value from by leveraging this kind of technology?
Yes, so you mentioned that digital by default, and that really is our watchword at Costain. We want to be digital by default, excuse me. And how do we do that? It's by embracing technology. As you said, Jacqueline, I've been working in finance for a long, long time, and I never saw myself ending up in the technology space. I've always had a keen interest in technology, whether that be at home or in the office. But it's been so refreshing these last 2 years to be working in this space. And it's given me a renewed vigor. And I hope what comes across in this conversation is how enthusiastic the team and I are for what we're doing. This started off as a finance mission, a finance digitization mission, we called it. But as we started to delve deeper into it, and as we started to run our discovery workshops, and we were lucky enough to be able to hold a UiPath Academy event in our Costain head office in Maidenhead, where we had some of our exec board. Jacqueline, you were there. We had our CFO, Tony Bickerstaff, was there, and we had various representatives across various functions in the business. And what we just did was we had a fantastic fun afternoon building robots together, and that really opened our eyes to the size of the prize that's in front of us. It quite quickly went beyond finance and into a total company mission to really go for a digital agenda and truly become digital by default at Costain. So, that UiPath Academy event, I saw that as being the catalyst where we really started to see interest within the business to what we're doing. And out of that, so we asked everyone who came to that event to come back to us with one idea, at least one idea of something that we could automate for them. So it's a little bit like that question of, if we gave you a robot, what would we do? So we asked people, what could we do that could help you in your day-to-day job and gives you 2 hours back? So that's been our thing. What would you do with an extra 2 hours every day? And the interest was amazing, and the ideas that came in were fantastic. And off that one event alone, we ended up with 95 automations that we could go after at Costain. It surpassed all of our expectations. 95 automations, which gave us a headache. How on earth are we going to get around all these? But we work hard and we go after these every day. So in terms of what have we achieved? So this year alone, even during the pandemic, we've managed to do 35 automations for the business, and we're on track to return over 25,000 hours to the business this year. And that's 25,000 hours of mundane work that someone would have had to do or not do, and that they can now spend doing something different, hopefully something more exciting, or even just getting time back to spend with their families, which would be nice as well. So, I think we've had success in finance, we've had success in learning and development, we've had success in HR. If I was going to call out a couple, we've had great success in the space purchase to pay. And we have a true hyper-automation solution in that space, where we've combined optical character recognition technology from another one of our good friends, Abby, with our UiPath robots to achieve end-to-end invoice processing for the business without, in a lot of cases, human touch. So invoices are coming into the business, we're able to extract the information from that invoice, we're able to match it against the underlying purchase order. We're then able to pass it on to our UiPath bots, who post those invoices into our ERP system through the night when everyone's asleep. And the projects who have adopted the solution so far get a report from the robot in the morning telling them how we've done overnight. And it's just making such a difference to our teams, particularly during the pandemic, where we've not been able to attend the office and we've not had to ask people to attend the office, which I think is really nice. We've been able to electronically gather that data that otherwise would have been in paper format. We've been able to do something with it, and we've not had to ask people to go out of their homes and put themselves in danger, or take a break from the homeschooling that we've all been having to do, and all these good things. So that's a brilliant example of something that we've been able to do. And another example that I would call out is that we've been able to collaborate with the School of Automation. And the School of Automation is based out of Glasgow. And what they are doing is they're taking young people straight from school who have an interest in technology, and they are turning those young people into the next RPA developers of the future. And this is something that we found out about through our UiPath partner, and we couldn't wait to get involved in this, because this is exactly the sort of stuff that we should be doing. Helping young people to develop is fantastically rewarding. And they've been able to build some automations for us as part of their training. So again, it's a win-win situation. We're able to give the apprentices real life work that they can work on, and we in return get something from them. So we get an automation that works for us in the business straight away. So another one that I think I would call out is our carbon capture robot that the apprentice has built for us. And that's a really exciting piece of process automation. What that is doing is it's looking at our vehicle fleet that's stored within our expenses solution. It extracts all of those registration numbers, and it logs into the DVLA website, looks up that individual registration number, extracts the information, and then we can do something really nice with that. So we can then track our carbon footprint for every vehicle that we have that is claiming mileage in Costain. And again, that robot runs through the night when everyone's asleep, and we're now able to pinpoint exactly our carbon footprint from our vehicle fleet. Really, really exciting outcome for this year, particularly in the middle of the pandemic.
That is such cool stuff. I mean, so many things you've said there resonate. Returning 25,000 hours to the business is extraordinary. I mean, that's just mind-blowing, and in such a short space of time, actually. And then, the idea that we can contribute to the skills pool, because we know that we don't have enough people in tech, but by educating young people, giving them purposeful work, which I think is really important, especially in times like these, where they can contribute to our own automation and bring their own experience to bear. And, answers the big leadership question of the day, which is, where do all your best ideas come from? It's such an exciting opportunity for us all. So I'm madly impressed, as you would expect a board member of Costain to be. But also, I guess during that very innovative time where you're looking for ideas, did you also have to challenge yourself on, well, we're going to have to break some process to do this? So, or processes are going to have to change. So, I'm just thinking, innovation doesn't really come without breaking some rules. And I'm wondering if that was part of that process, Stephen. We all know the accountants love process and they don't like breaking them. So I'm poking you in the eye with that one, I think, a little bit.
And it is a very fair challenge, and it does make me smile, because we have had to upset the apple cart along the way, for sure. Because one of the biggest challenges we have is fragmented process or non-optimized process. And I think one of the lessons that we've learned as a Centre of Excellence is to never automate a bad process. But you don't always know at the outset that the process is bad, because we go along and we speak to the process owners, and they tell us that the process is perfect and that it's an ideal candidate for automation. And unless we probe further and ask the difficult questions, we can end up with an automation that doesn't run as smoothly as we would like. And that all comes to light during the UAT phase or the hypercare phase, when we're actually running the robot in live. And it's at that point that all of those fragmented pieces of the process come to light. So I think something that we have learned along the way is that we need to be very curious, inquisitive, and relentless up front about understanding any process that we want to automate, so that we make sure that we understand it properly, and so that if we do go ahead and try to automate that process, that we get as good a result as possible first time. Now, we never get every single nuance, we never get it completely right. So again, there's been an expectation setting thing, Jacqueline, with the SMEs around, it's not going to be perfect from the start. You need to work with us, because we will have exceptions, But if we work together and we kind of take them off one by one, then we do end up with a well-working automation at the end of it. And that's to everyone's benefit. So yeah, just to say that again, do not ever automate a bad process, because it is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's very good advice. And I suppose that second leadership lesson of curiosity-led leadership also really matters when you're automating something like this. Lead with your questions, not with your solutions, I suppose. So I have a fun question here, actually. Have you named your robots? And if you have, what are they and why did they matter? You may not have, of course.
We absolutely have named the robots. That is something that we stumbled upon very early in the journey. And it was quite COE led at the start. So we were naming the robots ourselves and realized quite quickly, hold on, we are missing a big trick here. And so what happens now is if you bring us an idea and we end up automating that idea for you, part of the deal, if you want, is that you get to name the robot. Now, within reason, of course. We have to be careful what we name our robots, but yes, we do. We allow the teams to name their robot. And why does it matter? Because it helps with just onboarding that new member into the team, because that's what we've found. We've seen that the robots do become a member of the team. The robots get talked about mostly in good terms, especially when they're working well, sometimes not so well. But, we are always asked, is my robot running tonight? But it becomes, is Archie running tonight? Yes, Archie is running tonight. Absolutely, Archie's running tonight. And I just think there has been some fear, Jacqueline, I'm sure you've seen this yourself. There's been some fear around the robots coming. And there's a feeling among some people that the robot's going to come along and it's going to take away jobs. And that's something that we have to work very, very hard with our stakeholders and our customers, if you want to call them that. Around the robots are not here to take away your job. What we really are all about is removing that mundane work from you, freeing you up, giving you that extra 2 hours back so that you can do something else with your time. And I think by naming the robots, it's a gentle way of bringing that robot into the team. We've even heard of some teams celebrating the robot's birthday. I think that's fabulous. We haven't done that ourselves, but I do hear word of some people actually celebrating the robot's birthday. I think that's really nice, and I just think it helps. So we've got some tremendous names of robots. We've got Archie, who was one of our first ones, who's named after my son. We've got Marley, who's named after an employee's dog. More strangely, we've got Mario and Luigi, who I'm sure you all know who they are. But the names never fail to surprise me, and we get some fantastic name candidates coming forward. And I think it's a really nice thing that we will definitely continue to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of ownership in there once you name something, and accountability, I suppose. But going back to the fearing that the robots are going to take our jobs, I suppose it's not the rise of the robots that we should worry about, but whether we choose to reskill ourselves every 10 years or less, and that, so that we can keep pace with technology and we can create that man-machine optimization. I like to think of it as 1 + 1 = 11, but I suppose in my final question then, Stephen, I'd like to know what's next, and given what you've seen so far, are you optimistic as you look forward into the future for automation and for Costain, perhaps outside of finance?
I think the answer to that is absolutely optimistic about the future. It's been a difficult year. I think we can all recognise that, but I'm hoping that more normality is on the way. And I think what we've seen during the pandemic is that there's never been a better time to automate. The interest in what we are doing is enormous. It always was, but it's even more so during the pandemic, because we've seen robots carrying out tasks, as I mentioned, around our purchase to pay. Where employees couldn't attend the office to pick up those invoices, the robots have been able to help them out. We've seen work done where employees just wouldn't be able to continue to carry out those duties, and the robots have done it for them. So I think, interest is massively high. I'm hoping we're coming out the other side of the pandemic now. And I think, we have a fantastic opportunity to build on what we've done. So we've done 35 automations this year, as I said, but our pipeline still is so strong. We've still got over 100 automations in the pipeline to go, and we just need to start getting out and around the business and starting to deliver those, because the size of the prize, as we spoke about at the start, is just enormous for us, and it's just so exciting to be working in this space and being able to, as me and the team are saying every week, we always end the week on a Friday and say, did we make a difference this week? And working in this space, the answer to that is more often than not, yes, absolutely we did. And we look forward to continuing to do that next year.
Brilliant. Well, all I can say is it's a true celebration of automation. Certainly lots of rule breaking, which I'm delighted about in terms of process, and of course, extraordinary amounts of innovation and value add to us at Costain. Stephen Still, Head of Automation at Costain, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.